The new Spider-Man game is out, it's great, and there's actually a whole lot of interesting real-world context. Care to hear some of it? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 Spider-Man game facts you probably didn't know. Number 10, before Sony got the Spider-Man license, you may have known a time when Activision had it and released bad games. Like, really bad games. Like, way back in 2002, they released a great Spider-Man game, but since that point, they had been releasing crap. It was so bad, it was to the point where Activision's then CEO, Bobby Kotick, was like, yeah, they're bad. I'll quote him exactly. Our Spider-Man games have sucked for the last 5 years. They are bad games. They were poorly rated because they were bad games. Not the kind of honesty you expect from the Activision CEO, but you get that kind of honesty after they really screw up and have to acknowledge it, which is what they did for a long time. And next at number 9, remember the first Spider-Man movie tie-in game? Well, at the end of that game, Peter Parker kisses Mary Jane, as to be expected. Then Spider-Man breaks the fourth wall and says, "Looks like you're done here. Go outside and play." Now, it's interesting to think about because nowadays, if they broke the fourth wall, it would probably be for like a sales pitch or something. Yeah, I know that's a wee bit cynical on my part. Seriously, can you imagine them telling you not to play video games at the end of a video game? Like, now? I can't. Number 8, the 2001 Spider-Man game, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, was originally going to come out, let's just say, a little bit after 9/11. In September, specifically. Activision had already actually printed a lot of the discs and decided it would be important to delay it and remove anything that could resemble the World Trade Center. There are actually a few discs of the version with the World Trade Center. The game's climax takes place on a skyscraper that somewhat resembles one of the two buildings, in that version at least, and a few copies were actually stolen off the assembly line and some collectors have a hold of them now. Number 7, the first 3 movie tie-in games, Ultimate Spider-Man and Web of Shadows, were all developed by Treyarch. The games that worked particularly well are mostly Treyarch creations, keep in mind. You know the 2004 Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game? That's Treyarch. That's specifically kind of the best one, at least in my opinion, and it's also kind of the thing that people who like Spider-Man games, or want to like them anyhow, have been chasing for a very long time. This is what makes Insomniac Games such an inspired choice. Sunset Overdrive reminded me of Tony Hawk, and when they said they were developing the next Spider-Man game, I was like, that's just perfect, that's perfect, good job. Number 6, the actress that played Mary Jane in the movies had veto rights over her character's likeness in the video games and merchandise. So when the game's creators gave her, well, I'll just quote what she said. "I got to approve the video game the way she looks. They made her boobs gigantic. I was like, tone down the boobs, please. It was a little ridiculous." Number 5, in the Neversoft Spider-Man, which was a port of the PlayStation game to Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, Windows, etc., had various bits of comments mixed in with the code that said a lot of, well, vulgar things, among with calling for the firing of a developer named Matt Duncan. I don't know the context of any of it, but there are comments like, "These aren't equal, fire Matt immediately. Fire Matt after kicking him decidedly in the nutsack. Demote Matt immediately. Who's been smoking crack today? Fire Matt immediately, please." Matt was either very well liked or very disliked around the office, I don't know. There's a lot more like cursing in it that I could repeat, but the firing of Matt stuff is funny enough as it is, in my opinion anyway. Number 4, Tobey Maguire was called in to voice Spider-Man in the original movie-related game, but before they knew that was going to be how it went down, a voice actor that had done Spider-Man in various other instances had recorded the full game as Spider-Man. After the change, they just repurposed all of his audio for Harry Osborn in the playable Green Goblin mode, and that was that. It's actually kind of a cool fact to know, because I always thought there was something weird about that audio, honestly. Number 3, adding just one suit to a Spider-Man game, or I have to imagine any Marvel game, is apparently so much work that it's silly. But it's understandable on account just creating, animating, rigging, and all of that stuff is a lot of work as it is, but you're also talking about having to pitch any little change to the character to Marvel. Marvel has to approve it before they go ahead and do any of the real work, and it can actually take up to 200 people after they say, okay, that's fine. Also, at every stage in the process, they were apparently allowed to nitpick and ask for little changes, and could have even said, no, you actually can't do this one. So imagine that for every single Spider-Man costume. Probably fun, right? Number 2, the creative director for the PS4 Spider-Man game actually worked for EGM before working anywhere on the development side of games, and apparently was working out of like a community apartment 10 years ago. It makes sense that he went into it, though. Even Stan Lee thinks that the medium is what he would go into if he was young and understood it and didn't think that it was a total miracle when a video game was developed. Hell, I would too, especially for a Spider-Man game. And finally, number 1, Insomniac chose Spider-Man after being given a choice what property to make a game of by Sony and Marvel. Sony approached Insomniac and said, hey, we want to do a Marvel game. Which Marvel property do you want to make a game for? And they were like, Spider-Man, duh. It's pretty great because it became a passion project from the start, and I think it shows. This is a really cool game. Couple of bonus points for you. In 2017, the Spider-Man 2 swingless world record speedrun was set by Sly Finkleton. It is 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 31 seconds long. And finally, Spider-Man PS4 actually came out 8 years to the day after Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. You feeling a little bit more enlightened about Spider-Man? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think of this video. And if you liked it, click the like button. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.